You know, in the world of logistics, the idea of paying more for warehouse space to actually save money, well, it sounds like a complete paradox, right? But here in Southern California, that's the new cutthroat reality. Today, we're going to break down a massive market shift that has turned all the old math on its head. We're talking about the port-adjacent premium.
In this quote, man, it just cuts right to the chase. For years, the whole game was about one thing: finding the absolute cheapest rent. But a total perfect storm of events has completely flipped the script, making transportation this explosive, unpredictable variable that you just cannot afford to ignore anymore.
All right, so let's dive right into this paradox that's playing out in the South Bay's industrial market. Seriously, if you're still trying to use the old playbook, the numbers you're seeing, they just won't make any sense.
So let's start with the big picture, right? Nationally, the industrial real estate market is definitely cooling off. Supply is starting to get ahead of demand, and that's pushing vacancy rates up and rental rates down pretty much all across the country.
And yeah, on the surface, the South Bay seems to be following that exact same trend. Average asking rents have dropped to $1.60 per square foot. Everything is pointing to a typical market slowdown. Or, so it seems.
But here is the twist. This is where it gets crazy. At the exact same time that rents were getting softer, demand just exploded. Tenants absorbed nearly 700,000 square feet of space in a single quarter. This completely reverses the trend we were seeing last year. So what on earth is going on?
Well, the answer is this phenomenon we're calling the Great Logistics Collision. You've got two massive opposing forces that are on a direct collision course, and the South Bay, it's ground zero.
So on one side, you have what we call the volume shock. It's an absolute tsunami of goods flooding the docks. The Port of Long Beach saw a staggering 26.6% jump in container volume year over year. That is an incredible amount of physical stuff that has to get off the ships and onto the road and fast.
But all of that volume is slamming headfirst into what we're calling a friction wall. A year-long construction project has choked the I-405 freeway, the main artery for moving all those goods, down to just 3 lanes. It's created this massive bottleneck, basically severing the primary route to get anywhere inland.
And this collision completely redefines what premium even means in this market. It's not about a fancy address anymore, not at all. It's about securing an operational hedge, paying more for that portside space as a strategic defense against total transportation chaos. It's not a luxury, it's a survival tactic.
Now, what's fascinating here is how this whole situation exposes this huge financial risk that honestly, a lot of companies don't even know they have. It's a risk that their standard insurance policy simply will not cover.
Okay, so here's the fine print that most people miss. Your business interruption insurance, it's designed to cover your building, things like a fire or a flood. But the second your stuff is loaded onto a truck and hits the road, that policy becomes pretty much useless.
So this is the dangerous gap. Your policy covers the warehouse, that's great, but what it does not cover is lost revenue from your truck sitting in traffic for hours, the insane cost of wasted fuel, or paying drivers for all that time they spend just sitting in gridlock. That's a direct, uninsured financial bleed, and it's happening every single day.
This new reality is literally redrawing the strategic map of Southern California right before our eyes. We're seeing the rapid rise of what we call a critical buffer zone in cities like Carson and Rancho Dominguez.
And here's the logic behind it. It's pretty simple. Importers are caught in a vice. They have to get their containers off the docks right away to avoid these huge, expensive late fees. But with the 405 completely gridlocked, they can't move their inventory north. So the only solution is to find a staging area, a buffer zone, south of that bottleneck.
And the data? Well, it backs us up completely. Just look at Carson. Even with a higher asking rent, it saw this massive positive absorption of over 160,000 square feet. Tenants are literally voting with their wallets. They're paying the premium because the strategic value is undeniable. The cost of not being there is simply too high.
So, this all brings us to the most crucial point. We have to redefine what that premium actually is. This is no longer a conversation about the cost of rent. It's a conversation about the cost of not generating revenue.
The new math for drayage, and that's just the short-haul trucking from the port, right? It's all about one thing, cycle time. And the most important question is simple. How many revenue-generating loads can a single truck actually complete in one day?
And the numbers here just make it crystal clear. A truck based in Carson can realistically turn 3 loads a day from the port. Now, that same exact truck, if it's based further inland, might only complete 1 after fighting all that traffic. The Carson location literally doubles that truck's revenue potential, which more than covers the higher rent.
So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. In this new era of permanent congestion and unavoidable bottlenecks, if your entire logistics strategy still relies on the fantasy of a clear freeway, are you already losing?